Hello and welcome back to Ballboy Media. I'm LJ and today we are going to be talking about a developing story within the NBA. The trade deadline has already been extremely exciting with the Luka Doncic and De'Aaron Fox deals, but now it seems as if the biggest name of all is available, and that would be Kevin Durant. If you want to see content like this where we're going through the trade deadline, be sure to like and subscribe. We're going to be doing all sorts of transactional stuff at the trade deadline and then more stuff beyond. Stay tuned. This is going to be an exciting period of time for this channel. So rumors would say that Kevin Durant is up for grabs, and this is very interesting. Sports Illustrated says that the Suns are willing to listen to offers for him, as did Bleacher Report, as they echoed in their article as well. It seems like there's a new era in Phoenix dawning upon the Suns. Kevin Durant was traded to the Suns at the deadline in 2023 for one of the biggest packages for any superstars in NBA history. The Suns gave up Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, first round picks in 2023, 25, 27, 29, a swap in 2028, and 2 second round picks. They were then able to turn Mikal Bridges into 5 first round picks, so effectively they turned Kevin Durant into 9 first round picks and Cam Johnson, who is looking like it's going to be, he's going to be rerouted to a new location at this year's trade deadline. Durant, as I said, has been rumored to be in trade talks as of recently, and he's under deal for 2 more seasons. He becomes an unrestricted free agent in the summer of 2026 at the end of the 25-26 NBA season. State of the Suns are 25-24, which is 10th in the Western Conference. They are currently even with the Warriors for that final spot. One thing to note, they are 3 games up on the next best team, but that team is the Spurs, who are an upstart team looking to make a playoff push. They just acquired De'Aaron Fox, so I think it really, if we're being frank with this, it could get very scary for the Suns soon. They just traded for Nick Richards and picks in 2 separate deals. The Nick Richards deal, they gave up some second-round picks and Josh Okogie. And then in terms of the picks, they surrendered their 2031 first-round pick to the Utah Jazz. This is a pick that, sources around the league think is going to be very valuable. And they received back 3 picks of lesser value. They have an extremely hard schedule coming up. They are facing OKC, Denver, Memphis, and Houston, who are the top 4 teams in the West currently, all in the next 5 games. They also have many outgoing picks, and that includes Houston having their pick in 27 and potentially 29, and Utah having their pick in 31, as I just mentioned. This is 2031. They also have least favorable swap rights to their own picks in 2025, 26, 28, and 30. This is, I may have misspoke. I believe the 2025 pick is of Minnesota and Cleveland. Regardless, it does not look good for the Suns from an asset perspective, and that leads to some concern about the future because not only may this era of Suns basketball be over before we know it, but they also don't have an incredible amount of assets to rebuild what could have been a dynasty in another world. Another thing to note is the looming deadline decisions. They do have a couple players, a couple moves that may be made. It seems that Yusuf Nurkic's time there is limited, and they obviously are probably looking to move him. I'm not quite sure what the market for him is. They will probably have to attach assets to him, but we will see what goes on with that. Devin Booker, shout out. I just wanted to give him a quick shout out. He just set the Suns all-time scoring record, so good job, Devin Booker, and hopefully the team can continue building around you should you want to stay in Phoenix. I applaud you for remaining so loyal to the Suns. In terms of potential Durant suitors, there are several teams rumored in past and present situations to want Durant. Those, as of right now, it seems like it's going to be the Houston Rockets, the Golden State Warriors, and Dallas Mavericks. This is the Rockets trade package. I believe it will look kind of similar to this. Again, these are just my estimations, and I did my best to make the salaries work for everyone and did my best of quantifying what a trade package for a player on the caliber of Kevin Durant would be. We know Durant is an all-time player, multi-time champion and MVP, I think of an 11-time All-NBA player. This is one of the top 10 or 12 or 14 players the NBA has ever seen, and we have to react as such when considering the postseason push that the Rockets might go on. In this deal, I have them giving up Fred VanVleet, who I believe can be effective in the right situation as a point guard, and Cam Whitmore, who has proven that he can score at will when given playing time. For his career, he averages 22.7 points per game per 36 minutes. I also have the Rockets giving up what I think might be the most valuable assets in Phoenix's eyes, their own first-round picks. In 2027 and 2029, they have some control over them. I think this is very interesting because if I'm Phoenix, This is the trade that I'm prioritizing. If I'm the Suns, I want to get all my assets back if possible, bracing for the future of the organization with a lot of uncertainty about what might be going down. I think if I have my own picks back, I'm a lot more comfortable moving forward in a direction where I might not be winning necessarily. I also think Fred VanVleet, with a player option next year, might not accept it, but I'm almost certain he will. Having that flexibility maybe as an expiring contract next year, and then Cam Whitmore, still very young and still proven as a scorer. I'd like to see what he could do with more opportunity in Phoenix, and if I'm them, I think this is a very intriguing trade to pick this up. In terms of the Warriors, we've already seen Kevin Durant in the Warriors, and it gets a little complicated with the Warriors having to maintain a certain amount of players on the roster. They're probably going to have to pick up some other players or maybe add a subsequent team to this deal. Regardless, there is, a way of doing this, and that is involving the Pistons because both of these teams are in hard cap scenarios. The Warriors really can't add any other money before going above the apron, and the Suns are already above the second apron. So both teams really need to lose money in this deal. I present to you the Detroit Pistons. With some compensation, I believe the Pistons would be in the market to use their remaining cap space to pick up a player such as Gary Payton or Kevon Looney, who's on an expiring contract, and then they'll just play out the year with them, and maybe we'll see what happens in free agency. I have Durant reuniting with the Warriors after 2 title runs and, just stellar play. They were one of the most unstoppable teams of all time, although I'm not quite sure how it would look there. The Suns have stated, and it seems in league circles, that the Suns want Draymond Green back because Matt Ishbia is seemingly a fan of Draymond Green. Although I'm not sure that Durant and Green are on the best terms, as they certainly didn't leave off like that, heading out of Durant's Golden State tenure, I think Golden State would be reluctant to include him in this deal, and I think there's 2 ways they can go. They might give him up, and they might say, okay, we wanted to keep the big 3 of Steph, Dre, and Klay together. However, we already gave up Klay Thompson, so maybe it's time to let Draymond go as well. That could happen, and I could see that happening. Or they could say, we're going to throw in more assets because we do not want to get rid of Draymond. And I think that's obviously, if they make this deal, not obviously, honestly, if they make this deal, I honestly believe that they are going to go the second route and keep Draymond Green because he's still so invaluable as a defender. He's one of the best in the league still, even with getting older. And I think that this deal also works for both teams and the Pistons involved. Not to say the Pistons are not a team because they've actually been playing better than these other 2 teams, but the Pistons are strictly a salary facilitator in this deal. I think getting Andrew Wiggins back is definitely an interesting piece. He's been playing good basketball this season after an up and down ride following their championship run in 2022, of which Durant was not a part of. They're also getting Dennis Schroeder, who I think can play good point guard minutes and really be a good facilitator. We haven't seen it work in Golden State, but it was definitely working in Brooklyn earlier in the year. So I'm wondering how much Schroeder has left in the tank for a potential playoff push for a Suns team that would be giving up Durant in this deal. And then obviously the biggest asset is Jonathan Kuminga. Kuminga is a restricted free agent after this season, and I'm not quite certain what his deal will look like, but I think the Suns will definitely look to re-sign him should they acquire him in a deal for Durant. Kuminga is a very interesting prospect, still young, 16.8 points per game for him. This is his 4th year. He's proven he can be a dominant force in the paint, and I'm interested to see what they do in maybe if they want to acquire him. They also are getting 2 first-round picks in this deal from the Warriors in 2025 and 2027. Mavericks trade package, this is a big old fail because I really couldn't figure out how this one could work. I think it would have to be 2 other teams get involved instead of just one, and honestly, I'm not quite certain that that's possible in today's league. I'm also not sure that Dallas has the right assets in order to acquire Durant. It seems to me that they don't have the right salaries, and cap restrictions hurt both the Mavericks and the Suns. All in all, I don't think that this trade would go through, and I'm not certain that from a salary and asset perspective, it would be in the best interest of either team involved. Thank you for watching today. Do you think Kevin Durant will get traded? I do, and I think he'll get traded to the Golden State Warriors. If you think so too, comment down below where you think Durant is going to end up, and maybe another trade that you'd like to see at this year's deadline. Thank you for tuning in. We are going to be churning out content in the coming days and hours. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.